actually sounds pretty good. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2020 Jaguar XF. So, as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover Jaguar here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with the Jaguar XF. Definitely check out their inventory in the link below, where obviously you can pick up this new Jaguar and a ton of certified pre-owned as well. Let's get into it. Under the hood of this XF, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 23 around town and then 33 on the highway, with power outputs being 247 horsepower and then 269 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of about 6.5 seconds. Now this is the most important part. Just kidding, but this is pretty cool. So we do have lights here at the front, and they are full LEDs with the XF, which, yeah, it's a really good look. Pretty much looks just like the F-Pace, just kind of like miniaturized into sedan form. But turning that off, you guys remember the hood was pretty massive. There was a lot of space under the engine bay. You could fit a V6, could fit a V8, I think. But anyways, parking sensors all along the front. You got the Jaguar logo there in the middle as well. But there's everything for the front end on the XF. On the side here, we've got 245mm tires wrapped around 19-inch rims in the front and in the rear as well. I do like the chrome design on them, and then you got the cool Jaguar logo there in the middle. Got another Jaguar logo right there on this little kind of like silver venting, and then yeah, that's pretty much everything. But here's kind of like your full side view on the XF, and it's pretty long. Here's our key fob for the XF. You have a couple functions. You've got the unlock, the lock there at the top, and then you have the light control and the trunk release, which it takes a second. Just wait for it, and now it is open. Let's go over the trunk area, which is absolutely massive. You have this huge opening right here, and then notice just how far it goes back in there. I mean, it's just huge. You can fit tons of stuff back here. You got all your Jaguar branded stuff, which I think is pretty neat. And then you got the kind of like cargo cover here for the back. Well, not cover, but floor mat, sorry. Anyways, picking this up, spare tire underneath, and it is orange, just like all the other ones with Jaguars, which I think is pretty cool. 12 volt right there, and we are done. Now let's finish things up in the rear. I've got the taillights on for just a moment so you can kind of see what those look like. Again, super similar to the F-Pace, just kind of miniaturized into a sedan. XF logo, all that kind of stuff. You got the dual outlet exhausts, and then you got the parking sensors all along the back as well. But overall, it kind of has this like nice swoop design to the rear, and it's a very long sedan. Now you do get keyless entry here in the back. Now opening this up, there is kind of like a split right here down the middle, and then I really like the design down here, and then the trim as well. I'm not going to touch it because fingerprints. Anyways, soft touch right here, and then here are the seats. You do get black stitching on the seats themselves. We are going to pop in quickly. So you have to duck since it's a sedan, but getting in, it's actually really comfortable back here. So I'm 5'11", I have tons of leg room. Again, that's the reason why you're gonna benefit from this being larger. In terms of headroom, that's also solid, and ooh, it's got a nice headliner. We'll go over that in a minute. I said mimit. Anyways, you got vents up here, heated seats, and then you got a 12 volt, another 12 volt, and then finally, you've got your little armrest with a couple cup holders. Now up front here, we do have that keyless entry again, and notice the mirror is going to power fold back out. Now looking at the door panel here at the front, again, you got more of that really cool trim and the black trim just up above. Soft touch all along here. Your memory seats, all of your light controls as well. And then here is the seat in the front. Again, you get that black stitching, and it's just very nicely bolstered. Power adjustment on the side of the seat. I really like the design on the pedals. They've done a good job with that. And then notice this is where you can control the opening for the trunk, and then also the lane departure assistance as well. But there's one more look before we pop in. Now to start it up, foot on the brake, push that, and well, everything is going to pop on, come to life. You got the little Jaguar logo right there. Yeah. Here's our steering wheel in the XF. So you've got all of your controls for the cruise control on this side, your controls for the center stack and the voice commands on the other side. Very soft leather all around, black stitching all around that as well. And then you got your stock for the lights, windshield wipers on the other side. That's all for the steering wheel. Now here in the center gauge cluster, you've got RPMs over on the right side. On the left side, you've got the speed, and then right there in the center, you've got a couple different menus that you can scroll through, basically pretty easy to use. So it'll show you like driving assistance. You can see your media, vehicle settings, all that kind of stuff. Pretty simple and straightforward, and just works well. Here's our center infotainment system. First off, we're gonna pop it into reverse. So that is the backup camera that pops up, and then notice that you do have the little camera button. Now, if we press that little camera button, that is the view that pops up, and then you press it again, and that's also the view that pops up. Now, the rest of the infotainment system, really easy to use. You got shortcuts to everything. Like I can go to the seats, for example, turn on the heated seats, which I'm gonna turn those off because it's really hot outside today. But you can drag this over. You got the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You do get a valet mode as well. But yeah, really easy to use. Response time is solid, and it's a good infotainment system. Here are all the analog controls for the climate system, and then you do have a little shortcut to the seat controls as well, and there's kind of my reflection in the piano black trim. But down below, this is the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. Really easy to use. Push it in, that'll change it over to the dual shift mode, and what I mean by that is the manual shift mode with the paddle shifters. Anyways, coming over here, got your auto stop start, and then you do have all of your drive modes and the stability control on the other side. Now the drive modes are gonna pop up here in this little center stack. So if I switch over into the eco mode, for example, and then go into the rain, snow, and ice, and then over on the other side, you've got the dynamic mode. Just pops up there, shows you a little picture of the car. Pretty straightforward. We have our cup holders here, and you can cover them up with that little piece if you would like. Now this is kind of weird. This is kind of like a crawl control, which again, it's interesting that a sedan has that, but it's cool nonetheless. Got a parking brake right here, center console which opens up. You've got a couple of USBs and then a 12-volt inside of that. It is lined with felts, and closing that up, I'm gonna pop over to the glove box. So again, lined with felt. Good amount of storage space inside of that, and then you get this really nice trim up above, and then you got stitching at the top of the dash. Now up here we do have the little sunglass holder. It does come with a sunroof. It is automated. Even though it's really small, they still make it automated, which is a cool little kind of like luxury touch. And then notice that you do get the Alcantara headliner, which is just really nice, just feels really nice, looks really premium as well. Every single luxury sedan should have this, so good job, XF. Here's our window sticker on the 2020 XF. So you guys can freeze a frame on any part of this if you'd like to see all of the individual options. There is your base MSRP. Now here's the options that this one has. It doesn't have anything too crazy, just pretty standard stuff in terms of options. Nothing that I would like put as out of the ordinary. But that all being said, there's your total MSRP, $61,227. Let's take this XF out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility here in the XF before we set off. So visibility over the hood, it is a little bit longer, but it's something that's really easy to get used to. Windshield's just big. Anyways, there's your visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here is your visibility all throughout the rear, which for a sedan, the visibility is exceptional. And, well, let's set off. We are setting off here in the 2020 Jaguar XF. And I was actually relatively excited to drive this just because this is like what Jaguar used to be all about, right? Making these like big, comfortable luxury sedans. Now, obviously the market's changed, so everyone has to make things like smaller and sportier and all that kind of stuff. And Jaguar was always kind of known for both that as well, right? They'd put like crazy engines in their cars. And so this is kind of like, sort of like a throwback to an extent. But setting off, super comfortable. Like, this is just one of those cars that just kind of like floats along the road. And so if you're just to drive this like on your daily commute, you just kind of like sit back and just kind of just go with it. Really comfortable. In terms of the noise that comes through into the cabin, really minimal as well. This just ticks all the boxes for a luxury car. And I'm in the comfort mode right now, just in the automatic mode. And if I just push it a little bit, takes a second to gear down, but then it just boom, and it goes. I just switched over into the dynamic mode. Obviously that's gonna be for our acceleration. Now I'm going to be in a little bit higher gear, just kind of see how this just goes uphill at like a normal acceleration. Wow, it's really good actually. So those turbos are actually really peppy. I'm surprised. I was expecting this to be not as powerful just because of the engine. This has a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but it's adequate. Like, it just, you have so much torque, so it's really well going up hills. And if you guys don't know, I live in Utah, which we're at about 4,500 feet elevation, you know, give or take a few hundred feet any point of this valley. So I mean, that's super solid given the elevation as well. But get a real acceleration. It actually sounds pretty good. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting a 4-cylinder to sound that good. You can actually, I'm not sure if it's coming through into the cabin, or sorry, into the camera, but there's kind of like little blow-off noises. Like, it's not super loud, but they're definitely there. And that's just pretty cool to have. Now, overall acceleration, I mean, it's kind of right where I'd expect it with the power figures that I gave you in the 0 to 60 time that I gave you as well. Really good on the highway. It's really smooth on the highway. And yeah, again, it's a really good, smooth, comfortable car. Like it's solid. Let's get into summing things up with this XF, and I guess just really where I see this standing. So this car is kind of in a complicated situation, right? Most people are buying SUVs and trucks right now. And so that's why Jaguar, right? You notice all the stuff that they've released recently, all the stuff they've updated has been SUV wise, right? They did the new I-Pace, which is the electric SUV. You've had the F-Pace for a while, which is a really cool SUV that has so many different engines, right? That F-Pace SVR is awesome. And then you have the E-Pace, which is kind of like a little bit of a smaller SUV compared to the F-Pace. And so the XF, I imagine that they'll probably keep making it for maybe a little bit longer, but they might get rid of it soon, just because, again, everyone's buying SUVs right now. And I don't think that that makes it like a bad car by any means. It's still a really comfortable car, and with the all-wheel drive and the good gas mileage this gets, you could have just like a really good looking like luxury car that's really good at driving on a daily basis, and it's going to be relatively inexpensive to fill up because that 4-cylinder gets really good gas mileage. And so just overall, I think this is kind of like more of like just like a regular, like, I hate to say this with the Jaguar, but it's kind of like a luxury commuter Jaguar, if that makes sense. Now, this does come with an optional V6, which that one is going to be kind of like more on the sporty side. This still has the sporty handling. It just doesn't have the sporty engine. And yeah, that's the XF for you. That is going to sum things up for our video on the 2020 Jaguar XF. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover Jaguar here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with the XF. Check out their inventory on the link below. I'll see all of you in that next video.